Om Shri Matre Namaha. When we come across to the great philosophers, highly educated, learned people, legends, they got success because they followed one secret formula. What you are, what you think. That means our lifestyle depends upon our thoughts. If the thinking is in proper way, the lifestyle in proper way. Everything depends upon our valuable thinking methods. Whenever you think positively, the result will occur in a positive manner. At the same time, your thought patterns definitely reinforce your beliefs. It is sure not to be denied at any cost. That's why it's so hard to make change happen in our life in various ways. At the same time, if you think of you are what you think, then you will get the result that you are what you believe. And the mind is the root cause for this. When it occurs, we can treat it as friend or enemy. Definitely like friend, negative like enemy. It's all in our mind. There is no other alternative in this regard. The mind accepts things that are irrational. So, totally basing on this, today I took the topic of you are what you think. Let us start with prayer. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasisthaya Namo Namaha. There is a secret that all great historical and present thinkers, philosophers, and high achievers have agreed to be a universal truth. The secret revolves around this simple idea you are what you think. Philosopher James Allen wrote, as a man thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. Stoic and Roman Emperor Marcus wrote, a man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Emerson wrote, a man is what he thinks about all day long. Other Nightingale said, we become what we think about. And Mark Twain wrote, life consists mainly of the storm of thoughts that is forever flowing through one's head. All these great minds discovered the secret to living a happy, purposeful, and productive life. And it's this. We live in a world of thought. Our thoughts create our experiences. And thus, we experience what we think. It is the quality of four thoughts then that create the quality of our life. When we are unhappy where we are in life, we seek to create change. So we go about transforming our environment, believing that doing so will create the necessary change we have to or we hope to see. We buy things for a materialistic boost of happiness. We travel to escape our problems. We seek substances to numb the mind and help us forget. But of course, we fall back to where we had started. Unhappy with where we are today. And so the cycle repeats itself. We buy, we travel, we forget. Always focusing on the external factors we need to alter in order to create better circumstances. This happens because we falsely assume that change begins from the outside. In truth, the environment does play a role in changing your circumstances, but it does not address the root of the cause, that is, the driver behind why you feel the way you do. Here is what you need to realize: if you want to change the outside, you must first change the inside. You must change the attention of your thoughts, because what you think directly influences how your body reactions directly influence how you behave. And how you behave comes to define who you are and what you experience in your life. If you get the inside right, the outside will fall into place. It all begins with your thoughts. Our life experiences spring from the thoughts we actively engage in. You are what you think. And to comprehend the essence of this statement, you first need to understand the link between your thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Thoughts in and themselves have no power. It's only when we actively invest our attention into them that they begin to see the real one. And when we engage with specific thoughts, we begin to feel the emotions that were triggered by these thoughts. We enter a new emotional state which then influences how we act. For example, if you regularly engage with the thought that you are a failure and feed more attention to it, you will start feel down, worthless, discouraged, and perhaps even depressed. You sulk down, slump your shoulders, and project no confidence. But if you engage with more empowering thoughts, they would boost your confidence and thus trigger a more positive emotional state, which will then be reflected in how your body reacts. Standing up straight, upbeat, and energized. Thoughts trigger emotions, and the vibrational frequency of these emotions then feed back into the original thought. And as we continue to give mental attention to the initial thought, it reaffirms the emotion, which then energizes the thought. And so we experience a continuous cycle of feel, think, feel. This results in the emotional state you come to experience: stressed, depressed, discouraged, happy, energized, confident, etc. This is how your thoughts create your reality. It is in the way you behave and act that you define who you are and what you experience in life, and the way you behave and act is simply a construction of how you think, feel, and do. So, in short, 1. Emotions are the reactions to the thoughts you give attention to. 2. How you feel is a reflection of what you are thinking about. Third, since emotions and the body's reactions are triggered by the thoughts you give attention to, therefore, you are living in a world of thought. Your thoughts create your experiences, and thus you experience what you think. It means that all the problems we experience are nothing more than a thinking problem. The real problem is not the problem. The real problem is how we think about our problem. We are not our circumstances. We are what we think of our circumstances. You are failing in your business is not the problem. The problem is in you perceiving it to a problem. Our problems are nothing more than our emotional and body thoughts, reactions to our thoughts about the problem. So, if we can observe and change our attention or perception, we can change our emotional reaction, which then changes our body reaction, which ultimately changes how we act and experience our reality. And that's exactly why true change begins from the inside, not the outside. We spend all our time and money and energy trying to change our experience on the outside, not realizing that the whole thing is being projected from the inside out. So, if you think you are a failure, as long as you give attention to the thought that you are a failure, you will continue to experience this reality, which then reinforces your belief that you must be a failure. This is called a thought pattern, and it has the power to destroy your life. Another, your thoughts patterns reinforce your beliefs. A thought pattern is a habit of thinking in a particular way. In his book, Rewire Your Brain, psychologist John Arden writes, the more you do something, the more likely it is that you will do it again in the future. Repetition rewires the brain and the breeds habits. The more the neurons fire together, the more likely it is that they will fire together in the future. Every thought we experience creates a chemical reaction in the brain, which then triggers an emotion. As we engage with this thought, it creates a new circuit of sends a signal to the body, and we request or we react a certain way. The more we request this plot pattern, the more it sees into our mind and becomes a habit. This is why neuroscientists say cells that fire together wire together. As you keep watching, thinking the same thoughts, producing the good results and the same emotions and performing the same actions. You continue to live by the same experiences. As we repeatedly engage in the same thought patterns of think, feel, do, these patterns encode as a blueprint in our subconscious mind. And what does our subconscious mind do? It runs 95% of our life on automation. Neuroscientists have shown that most of our decisions, actions, emotions, and behavior depend on the 90% of brain activity that is beyond our conscious awareness, which means that 95% of our life comes from the programs in our subconscious mind. This is why it's so hard to make change number. It is because we have repeated the thought patterns so many times that they have now become rooted in who we are. Our thought patterns reinforce our beliefs, and our beliefs came into the define who are who we are and the reality we experience. Psychologist Ami Morin consistently explains the once you draw attention or conclusion about yourself, you are likely to do two things. One, look for evidence that reinforces your belief and discount anything that runs contrary to your belief. If you develop the belief that you are a failure, you will view every mistake you make as a proof to affirm that you are indeed a failure. And when you do succeed at something, you will credit it to luck. And this is how your thoughts create your reality. As you continue to think you are a failure, you continue to feel and act in a way that reaffirms your belief. You dwell and fall into a trap of self pity. Here is how. Increase your awareness by observing your emotions and body reactions. And two, be more conscious of what thoughts receive your attention. It's what psychologists call metacognition, the idea of thinking about our thinking. The next plan is simple. The next time you feel a strong training or awareness or thinking, whatever it may be, it follows generally. In this you have no doubt, because it is a fundamental thing. And do it by name, pausing and asking yourself, what's going on in my mind's wrist right now? Why am I feeling this day? I am last angry, but I am one angry while any upset. Why you only feeling so long? These can help us figure out why we are feeling what we are feeling and drive us back to the root cause of these infections, these feelings, the thoughts we first gave our attention to. It's not the thoughts that pass through your heart and impact your life. It's a one way. You take always possession of and think about all day long. Once we agree to give our attention, Daddy thought, it becomes more and more real to us over time and has more and more power over outside life. It is a trigger, an emotion which then triggers a body's reaction. Uttara tries another way. This thought pattern creates mental circuit in our brain, and as we repeat it, it becomes a subconsciousness behavioral pattern that runs on automation. This is how your thoughts shape your reality. This is why you are the what you think. And, and this is why all the great minds and Hindus agreed that the quality of our thoughts creates the quality of our life. Our thoughts create our experiences, and thus we experience what we think. The quality of Rama is thoughts creates the here gravity of the malaise. Remind yourself of the power of the thoughts you give your attention to. They become your beliefs and they go on to discipline. If your life and how you experience it, you are what you think. We are all that we can arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. You thought many aeronautical or etc. But here Dhammapada and you may wonder what could possibly be wrong with them. Isn't this just what the Buddha thought? Didn't Buddha teach the world is an illusion? Didn't Buddha say things like you become what you like, what you think? The first line of Dhammapada actually says that no one can bring with royalty. The first line of Dhammapada actually says that in Pali and Manobhangam Dambham Manoseta Manomaya Sabha. I would conquer Draupadi in this midst of Pandavas. Like that Arjuna felt. I like the word experiences because it's more well experimental. To follow the success of the book, we are what we eat. We are going to respect all others who are seeking for it. It's certainly quite a suggestive title and is quietudes us to learn more about the relationship between thoughts and events and the way we define ourselves, which the cognitive resources that it has to struck with the mind has a lot of other power also. Our thoughts can change the way we become and the decisions to make and the feelings we experience. In short, they have a lot of influence over us, more so from what we think. The mind, friend or enemy. Our thoughts can change the way we behave, the decisions we make, and the feelings we experience. In short, they have a lot of influence over us, more so than we think. The mind, friend or enemy? It all depends on what? On what you think. It's common to think, I am tired, I can't handle this anymore. And then immediately after, you feel like sleeping for 3 days in a row. Don't forget that the body and brain work to please you, and brain work to please you, and the body especially tends to do this in short term. However, it can also be like a genuine lamp obeying your every wish without protesting. Contrary to popular belief, our minds don't tell us what we have to do or how we should feel. It is quite the opposite. We are responsible for how we feel. We can't blame the environment, politicians, the economy, or our bosses. It all resides within us. Of course, it's much easier to find something or someone else to blame. That way, there is no possibility of learning, changing, or improving. It's all in your mind. Marathons are one of the most physically and mentally demanding tests of endurance. On top of good physical preparation, they also require mental training. Why? Because as soon as the body feels like it can't go, the mind helps it to keep going, even if the pain is so bad afterwards that no painkiller can soothe it. You don't have to become a marathon runner to test this theory. Think about the times when you were about to give up due to tiredness, exhaustion, or tedium of routine, and you told yourself, I can keep going, or I am okay, or I will finish this. In that moment, you probably got a second wind that didn't come from a cup of coffee to finish a task and then flap on your bed to sleep for the next few hours. You also don't have to be the most positive person in the world and go through life seeing the glass half full in every situation. Just know that some thoughts help us while others harm us. Stop paying attention to things that are irrelevant and focus on what really matters. If something keeps spinning through your mind, take the time to resolve it and move on to the next task. The mind accepts things that are irrational. If you can't sleep because your mind is a whirlwind of ideas, keep a small notebook on your nightstand and take advantage of this spark of creativity so that you can solve some of your problems. Don't waste your energy dwelling on the bad things that happen to you. Learn to live with uncertainty, even it's just a little. Make decisions that involve a bit of risk taking and view mistakes as yet another part of the rules of the game. Avoid pressuring yourself and accept the fact that you are imperfect. It will reduce your levels of fear and anxiety, and as a consequence, the amount of mistakes you make. How to use your thoughts to your advantage. Our one excellent exercise: that can help you reject your negative thoughts is to laugh at yourself. How absurd our thoughts can be sometimes. Seeing the funny side of things that happen to you will release a bit of the tension and help you learn to see the positive in the situation. If you ignore those words and focus on something else, you will be able to take control of your mind and prevent inertia from taking control of you. Once you have taken back control of the most powerful tool you have, you will be able to spend more cognitive resources on things that interest you so that your mind and body can feel better. श्रीकांताय कल्याण निधे निधेतराम श्री वेंकटनिवासाय श्रीनिवासाय मंगलम मंगलाशासन परे पदाचार्य प्रोग में सर्वैश्य पूर्वैराचार्य सत्कृतायास्तु मंगलम.